Hi guys, how are we doing? Aaron back again for another week of reacting to chart music. Now last week we didn't have a video because the only new releases in the chart last week was Drake with his new record. I'd already heard Drake's record. I've got a review coming up on the channel, so stick around for that. So it wouldn't have been a fair reflection if I'd have done that after already listening to it. So we decided to give last week a miss and come back with it again this week. So this week we have 4 new tracks, some various stuff in there. We've got Ariana Grande, Marshmello, 6699, a few other cool things as well. So yeah, don't really know what to expect. Like I say, last time we introduced the tier list, so the tier list I'm going to put on the screen now. There you've got the 4 tiers, so you've got straight in the playlist, re-listenable, indifferent, and not for me, so that kind of goes from 1 to 4. Obviously, that's just my own opinion, not in accordance with anybody else. Be interested to know what you guys think. Drop it all in the comments. So we start off this week with the highest track, obviously, you know, week by week. It goes from the top. The first song I play is the one that's highest in the charts down to the bottom, as you guys know. The first song this week is a song by Ariana Grande featuring Justin Bieber. It's called Stuck With You. Now, obviously, I'm quite familiar with Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber, but I've never heard, I don't know whether they've done a track together before, but I haven't heard one anyway. Don't really know what to expect. Yeah, we'll just go into it with an open mind, give it a listen. So it's kind of got the feel that I would associate with an Ariana Grande song straight off the bat. I'm interested to see how Justin Bieber is going to be incorporated into this. But yeah, the beat's it reminds me of all the stuff of Ariana Grande's I've heard before. One thing I think Ariana Grande does really well throughout all of her tracks is the way she incorporates the rhythm with the melody. So, you know, no lines are the same. You know, obviously she has various verses, various stanzas in the verses, and the rhythms are the same, but song by song, they always seem to change a little bit. That's always something I've quite enjoyed out of Ariana Grande's music. The melodies are more inventive than you tend to find as well. So yeah, it's different. Again, in the last episode, we kind of said about the you know, the overproduction on the vocals. Ariana Grande's never been one that's kind of stuck out for that, really. Her voice does a lot of the talking for it. She's got a great voice, and like I said previously, you know, the melodies kind of speak for themselves. But I like that there's very little production on Ariana Grande's voice. You know, you can tell that there's no real auto-tune on there. You know, the reverb's quite natural, even though there is a lot of it. The harmonies there, they're only really double tracked. You don't tend to get, you know, 5 or 6 different layers to it. It's just quite simple. But I think this is one of them instances where less is more. I mean, I'm quite pleasantly surprised, really. I like that a lot more than I thought I would. Justin Bieber's voice works nicely with Ariana Grande's as well. It's a blend that I didn't kind of expect would work as nicely. But it does. Again, he's kind of incorporated the rhythm that she's doing, which I think works really well in his voice. I think that's something he could do more of in his songs. You know, certain songs he's done it. You know, Sorry was quite good for that. Love Yourself was quite good for that. But obviously that was written by Ed Sheeran, so you can't really give him the credit for it. But, you know, yeah, the rhythmically, melodically wise, it's quite a cool track. As the song progresses, it doesn't really go anywhere, but it's texturally, it kind of does little things and it kind of moves a little bit. You know, it doesn't go full out, let's add all the texture in the world, but it's just subtle little changes, like, you know, there's the harmony now between Justin and Ariana Grande, and, you know, then it's more than just double track now. There's, you know, 3 or 4 maybe, but again, it isn't too much to make it oversaturated. It's nice. The melody works really well with Justin's vocal range. It's one of them songs that kind of, you can then see what his vocal range is like. You know, a lot of his songs they don't illustrate how good of a voice he really has, but this one's one of them. I think that's partially because the song is so stripped back anyway. It's kind of got that Dive by Ed Sheeran feel to it, you know, with the 3, 4, 6, 8, whatever it is. You know, as it goes to the bridge into what I assume is going to be the last chorus, the chug's quite nice. The interchange of the melodies between the two of them, you know, the one does one line, the other does the other while backing each other up. It's nice, it's cool. Yeah, like I said, I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And there you've got the trademark sort of Ariana Grande huge note at the end of the song, which I think she does really well. A lot of people can't get away with that, you know, but she's got such a great voice that she could just do it wherever she wants. So that's definitely a song that, yeah, it's definitely a song that I'm going to listen to again. Like I say, pleasantly surprised actually by that one. It's a lot nicer than I thought it'd be. I think the melodies work really well together. The voices, you know, the way they blend together work well. I'm a fan of the rhythm, fan of the feel. I'm a fan that it's not overcomplicated. You know, the production there it's great, but it's not overproduced. It's kind of the opposite to a lot of the things I said were bad in the last episode. So, yeah, that one I'm going to put in the re-listenable category, but with hopefully that will go up straight into the playlist. But for now, it's re-listenable. It's one I'm definitely going to check out again. I wouldn't say it's probably my favourite of Ariana Grande's. And Justin Bieber, I've kind of got a bit of a sheltered knowledge in comparison, so it's not an ideal. But definitely a good song, definitely one I'll listen to again. So we'll move on to the next track. Okay, so the next track this week is a track by an artist called 6699. The song is called Goober. Now, 6699 is a person I recognise. It's a name I recognise. It's not an artist I've ever heard anything of. I don't really think I actually know what he does. I kind of assume it's like a rap type thing, but again, I could be completely wrong. It's a name that I've seen on Facebook and through whatever else. So, your guess is as good as mine. So we'll take a listen. I mean, that's quite an intense start. I don't know whether I like it or not, really. I'm struggling to wrap my head around how that's going to integrate onto the radio, but it's different to anything I've heard before, really. That I really don't know whether I like it or not. It's obviously it's kind of shouted, but it's got the rhythm to it of rap as well. It's a million miles away from what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting sort of a laid-back, typical rap feel, which I suppose is one thing it's got going for it, in that it is different to a lot of things in the charts at the moment. Yeah, it's very strange. The lyrics aren't particularly complicated. I mean, he's just said "bitchy, you dumb" about 8 times, but whatever. The line I kind of draw with songs like this is like this. I think it was maybe number 9, number 10 in the charts as a new entry. I don't understand how songs like this would then go on to get the radio play they need to become number 1. Maybe I'm missing the buck on that, but for me, if it's as explicit as it is and it's as everything else as it is, it would be more. There'd be more expletives in it than anything else. There'd be more beeps on the radio than anything. Like I say, maybe I'm missing the butt. Maybe there's a clean version that sounds nothing like this. But for me, it's strange. It's yeah. The beat kind of reminds me of like sort of 18 months ago, all these YouTubers were out there doing diss tracks, and they'd just go and get those generic beats, the copyright-free ones off YouTube, and they'd just rap over the top of it. The beat is very similar to that, and not for a second of implying that he used one. But it is very similar, it's not very inventive. I'm just struggling to wrap my head around the vocal on it, really. I struggle to find a theme throughout the song, really, with the lyrics. It's just him talking about bitches a lot. I don't know. It's a really strange one, actually. It's not one that... it's not at all what I expected. I don't know where to put that, really. I'm going to put it in indifferent, purely for the reason that it is completely not for me, but I'm going to have to listen to it again to try and wrap my head around it. I don't think it's very inventive. If you take the vocal aside, it's not very inventive. It doesn't really go anywhere. But the vocal's just very strange all the way through. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that one. Let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, for me, that's going to go in not for me. No, it's not. It's going to go in indifferent, but it is not for me. But I'm also going to listen to it again, so you see my quandary. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say on that one, really. So we'll move on to the next song. Okay, so the penultimate song this week is a song called Breaking Me by Topic and A7S. Now, when I saw that in the chart, I did get quite excited because I thought that A7S said A7X, which is Avenged Sevenfold, and I thought that we'd actually be in for some rock music. But to my disappointment, no, it doesn't seem like we are. But not heard of either of these guys, so who am I kidding? It could be some extreme Swedish metal band. I don't think it will be. It's got a picture of a teddy bear. But open-minded, we'll take a listen. Okay, that's a strange vibe. It's a cool vibe. It's kind of, I don't know what I would compare it to. His voice reminds me of Rag and Bone Man a little bit. It's got that kind of husk to it. The beat, it's kind of that laid-back tropical house feel from a few years ago, but it's less tropical house, if you get what I'm saying. It's much more contemporary. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that is a typical, like, what I would call a festival chorus, that's going to be huge at, like, whatever festivals they play in, the tents, the clubs, it's catchy, it's got that hook. It's a good chorus, it's solid, and his voice actually does it really, good justice. He's got a really nice voice. Again, similar to the Ariana Grande point, it's not overly produced. It's got that little hint of auto-tune on it, but not enough to make it clicky. The reverb's quite natural, even though there's a lot of it. Yeah, it's quite cool. I mean, it's got a real punchy sort of synth bass to it. I don't know what I would describe it as. It's kind of like the tropical house. If you were to take the tropical house down 2 octaves, it kind of moves about, it slides about. It's quite a cool synth bass. It works very well. The whole kind of timbre of the song, the whole structure, the whole texture works really nice with his voice. It's all a lower register. It kind of sits on that lower register because it doesn't need to go anywhere else. But he's doing enough with the melody to make it interesting. Yeah, structurally it hasn't really done much yet. About halfway through, but it's got those little light and shade moments that make it quite easy to listen to. It's much more of a typical radio song than the last one. This one I can hear being played on the radio. This is kind of the epitome of my point from the last song, in that I couldn't hear that one being played on the radio because it's just far too aggressive. This is a typical, if I was to turn the radio on and hear this without knowing what it is, I would know that I'm listening to BBC Radio 1, because that's the type of thing I would expect them to play. It's much more, for me, it is much more a typical radio rock song. It's just much more a typical radio pop song is what I meant to say. I really like his voice. His voice has got that real nice gruff tone to it. Whether that's artificial, I'm not quite sure. Like I say, there is a hint of autotune on it, but it's not too much, I don't think. It's either not too much or it's done really well, so it's really discreet. But either way, yeah, it's pretty cool. I think if I've got one criticism of it, it's when, after the la 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 bits goes into, what I would say the main chorus is. I think it could rise a little bit more, maybe put a little bit more into it. I think it's got that subdued thing that a lot of people seem to be going for at the moment. But, if you want to kind of stand out and break out of that little vibe, perhaps, have it really soar into that. Perhaps not even in the first chorus, perhaps just in the second chorus, just have it really soar into it, grab you by the throat and go, right, here's the big chorus, Maybe that's just me. Not that it's a criticism, really, it does what it's meant to do. It does what it says on the tin. It's a solid tune. If anything, like I say, it just doesn't really go anywhere. The melody's cool, the rhythm's cool. I really like his voice. This one, I'm going to put re-listenable. I'm definitely going to check it out again. Like I say, mainly for the fact that I really like his voice. And I think that the feel is much more, it's much more suited to me than any of the rest of the stuff that I've really listened to on this so far. So that is the third song. Let's move on to the last song for this week. Okay, so the last song this week is a song by Marshmello and Halsey. It's called Be Kind. Now, I've heard of both Marshmello and Halsey. I know much more about Halsey than I do Marshmello. Obviously, Halsey is featured with the Chainsmokers. Bad at Love was one of hers. It's a really good tune. She kind of, revolutionised that whole electro dark pop thing before Billie Eilish came around and did it. Not that they're particularly similar, but that's kind of what she was going for years ago. Marshmello I know best because they did, was it Happier they did with, I think it was Bastille, I'm right by saying that. And they've done a song with A Day to Remember as well. I think I'm kind of expecting a Chainsmokers-esque vibe to this. Maybe that's because of the Halsey influence. And maybe that's because I don't know as much about Marshmello, but we shall see. So let's take a listen. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty uninspiring. It's a bit boring. There's not a lot to say. Her vocal's good, but it's the line of being overproduced to being nice. There's too much autotune on it for me. She can sing. She's got a really nice voice, as you can tell by some of her earlier stuff. I feel like when you've added the autotune to the point where the vocal becomes clicky, for me, that's a bit of a turn off. I know other people like it. It's got that laid back feel to it, but it's a little bit too laid back for me. I was kind of expecting a little bit more. Maybe I'm going a little bit too in on it so early. So we'll keep listening and see what we think. And then I've said that, and then it comes in with a huge chorus. So what do I know? Yeah, the chorus is huge. It's like, it was kind of what I was saying about the last one, where they needed to bring it up for the chorus and then grab you by the throat. This one does that. That's kind of what I was meaning by a Chainsmokers-esque thing. That's pretty much more what I was expecting. That makes the first part seem a lot better, because obviously then, you've got the light and the shade and the structure throughout. Yeah, the only kind of thing that for me does anything about this song is the chorus. I think the chorus is really good. Lyrically, it's okay. Yeah, it's very middle of the road. It's not by any means one of the favourite ones I've listened to doing something like this. It's okay, it's just a bit mundane. I just find it all a bit predictable as well. Kind of, you know where it's going to go. It's verse, chorus, bridge, stripped down chorus, and then it'll go back into a normal chorus. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I write songs, that's the majority of my songs are written in the same structure, but I try and do things differently, if and where they fit in. I feel like it's just kind of being the same for the sake of getting into the top 40 and getting played on the radio. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but yeah, not for me really. I wouldn't say it's not a terrible song. It'll please the people it's meant to please. I dare say fans of Marshmello and Halsey will like it, but it's not going to convert anybody that doesn't particularly care either way. So that one I'm going to be indifferent to. So I will put the completed version of the tier list on the screen now, so you can see we've got 2 in each. We haven't added straight in the playlist yet, which I'm not at all surprised about. I don't know whether you guys are. I think it's going to take something quite special to be in there. But yeah, so that is it for this week of reacting to chart music. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Make sure you subscribed. All those good things. I'm only posting this on YouTube at the moment, not posting it on Facebook. So if you're here from Facebook, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know some opinions. Let me know if you've got any more ideas for some videos. I'm off work for the foreseeable. I can't really do much singing at the moment, so this is kind of where we're at. So thank you all very much for the support. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, thank you.